Hello again. Today we're going to be going over setting up Satellite 6.10. There's a couple of different things that we need to do. One of the first things you're going to want to do though is get your subscription allocations put in. So it's called they call it the manifest. You can manage it here. What you do is you go on to access.redhat.com and you go into subscription allocations and you allocate a number of rhel entitlements to your satellite, and then you will download, export out that manifest, and once you have that, then you're able to import it in here, and then instead of the servers accessing the entitlements directly from Red Hat, they're going to be doing it through your satellite server instead. So let's import our manifest. So we're going to choose our file and we'll go into Downloads, Manifest. Once you choose your file, it'll start to import the manifest. So let's give it a minute for that to happen. We see that we have our 5 entitlements, and it's for rhel Enterprise Linux. This is for any version, whether it's 7, 8, 9, whatever you have. All right. Now let's move on to, now we have to get the repositories that we want to sync. So we'll go into the Red Hat repositories, and it's easier, it shows all of them. There's 898. The easiest way is flip this on and it will narrow it down for you so that it just shows recommended repositories. In here, what we have just a rhel 7 server that we're going to register, but you can do it for rhel 8, 9, whatever happens to be on your servers, but we're going to keep this simple. We're just going to start with the rhel 7 Linux RPMs. We'll expand this out. And you can version lock it, so you can download specific versions if you wish. However, I like just getting the root of it. That way, no matter what version comes out, it will always just be the most up-to-date. So let's get this one. And we can also do optionals and extras if we want. We're also going to do Ansible engine. So let's grab that one real quick. And you want to get your satellite tools for your version. So this is Red Hat Satellite Tools 6.10 for rhel 7 servers. So let's grab that one. So that gets us going. All right, so our next thing, what we're going to do is we got our repositories. Under products, you can set up your own products if you want. We're not going to do that. We're just going to go in and create a sync plan, because now we have to synchronize this data. So we're going to create a sync plan. We'll just call it daily repo sync. You can call it anything you want. We're going to tell it to sync daily, and we're going to do you can keep these all the same. We'll do it at 2 o'clock in the morning starting on the 3rd. Actually, we'll do the 4th because that's starting tomorrow, so we'll hit save. And what we want to add the products now that we just selected to our sync. So we're going to do both of these. So Enterprise Linux and Ansible engine. So we're going to hit add, and we have our products. So let's go back to our sync plans. Now we're going to go to sync status. This will show you if the automatic syncs are working, but since we want to get everything going right away, we're going to expand all, and it shows you that they've never been synced. So we're just going to select them all, or you could, if you had a lot, you can just hit select all up there. And we're going to say synchronize now. And it's going to go through here, and basically it's going to download all the repositories from Red Hat and put them locally on your satellite server. That way your clients, your hosts will be able to connect up and patch directly to your satellite server with the repositories that you've made available. So the synchronization finally completed, and each time it does this, it's going to tell you under the details what it added. So since this was the first time, it shows you all the RPMs it added, all the errata it added. The largest one, of course, is the rhel 7 one, and then we have our satellite tools, and we have the Ansible engine 2.9. Now that everything's synced, what we're going to do is we need to create, it's recommended you have lifecycle environments. You don't have to. You can throw everything in the default library, but then everything's going to be patched at the same level. It's best to have like a dev level. Then you can go up to, say, it just depends on how you can go dev, QA, prod. You can, whatever order that works best for your environment. We're just going to keep it somewhat simple, and we're just going to have dev and then go to prod. So what will happen is when you first sync everything into your lifecycle, it'll first drop into the library. Nothing is going to be assigned to that. Then you're going to promote it up to dev, and then again up to production. And you usually will stagger those by a couple of weeks. That way, when you patch dev, it locks all those patches to there, and production is on a different patch cycle. That way you can test properly in dev and then move it up into production and keep everything synced. So let's first create our new one. We'll just call it dev and hit save. And then add a new, let's see, yeah, there we go. And then add a new environment on top of that to the end of dev, and we'll call this one prod. And the prior environment is dev, and we'll hit save. So now we have dev and prod. Okay, so now that our lifecycle environment's set up, we need to set up a content view. This is going to be a collection of the repositories that you want to have available for whatever collection of servers you're going to use. So let's start and just create a new content view. We'll call this one, I like setting up like CV for content view, AK for activation key, to prefix everything so it's easy to see exactly what it is. So we'll do this one, a content view, and we'll just go call it rhel 7 because this content view is going to be for your rhel 7 content. You can give it a description if you like. I'm just going to keep it all the same. And then we're going to hit save. What you're going to want to do now is you can add your content view. So if you synced other repositories like rhel 8, rhel 9, any of the other ones, extras, optionals, and you do not want them in this particular content view that you're going to assign to certain hosts, you just don't assign them to it. You assign what you want to have available. So since we only did rhel 7, we're going to just add all of them because we want all of these packages in this particular content view. So we're going to add those repositories, and here they are. And what we're going to do is we can go back in there and look at it. So we have it has not been published. So we'll go in here and we're going to publish a new version. And we're just going to hit save. So this is publishing those three repositories, so the rhel 7, the satellite tools, and Ansible engine, into library right now. Because here's the environment, it's going into library. So it's publishing all that and promoting it into that one environment. Now that it's there, and it's going to show you your content, how many packages you have, errata, important bug fixes, and security. So it shows right here. What you're going to want to do now is first promote it into your dev environment. So you hit promote, you select dev, and you hit promote version. And it's going to take that content and push it into the dev library or dev environment. You would then leave it there for whatever you decide that's best for your organization. It could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, whatever the patch cycle is. Once that cycle is done, you would then be able to promote that and move it up into production. We're going to leave it at dev because when we register our new server, we are going to register it as a dev server, and that way it'll have the packages available. Now, if we registered it as a production server, you would not be able to actually patch anything because there's nothing available for production at the moment. So let's go back into our content now. We want to set up an activation key. This allows you to, when you're registering servers, to set everything up on the server automatically without you having to do anything. So we'll create the activation key and we'll call it a key rhel 7 because this is for rhel 7.1, and then we'll call it dev because this is going to be an activation key for a dev rhel server 7s. We're going to pick dev. If it was a prod one, we would pick prod. You're going to go back here and you're going to have your content view. So we'll hit save. Now, what you can do here is we're going to set the release for 7 server. The content view is rhel 7. We can set other things here like system purpose if you wish to have that. On the repository sets, notice it says disabled, enabled, disabled. So we want to have all these enabled. So we're going to select these two and we're going to override to enable. So when it registers with this activation key, it's going to enable all 3 of these repositories on the servers. Then we'll go into host collections. If you have a host collection, and I can show you that later, it's just a collection of different hosts. You can assign them. You can set that up here and it'll automatically assign any new host to that particular host collection. And I believe the activation key is now set up. The one I'm using uses simple content access enabled, so I do not need to have subscriptions attached to access the repositories. Now that may not apply to you. You may have to go in here and add your subscriptions as well. And then you would just go in there, you would see the tab for that, and you would go in there and you'd add the entitlements and how many you wish to have, whether it's unlimited or a specific number. So now we have our activation key. Alright, so we can go down here. So now we have our hosts. We don't have anything registered yet. Nothing under the configuration that we need to deal with. Nothing under here that we need to deal with right now. So the next step we're going to do is, what we want to do is register our server. So there's a couple things we'll need to do. First, we'll have to install the Catello Consumer repository, which will give the server the information about where your satellite server is so that it knows when you hit the subscription manager register, it's not going to go out to Red Hat, but it's going to register against your satellite server. Once you have that installed, all you have to do is run this command, and we're going to copy this. You'll run this command to actually register the server against the satellite server. So let's go and do that now. We're going to log on to our rhel 7 server. I've already built it ahead of time. What we're going to do is log on to it. I have it in the DNS as well. So we'll go root rhel 7 home the root user.com. Say yes. Alright, now we're logged on. Now it's not registered at the moment, so what we're going to do is install that RPM. So we'll go RPM IBH HTTP satellite home the root user.com. So this would be the fully qualified domain of your satellite server, whatever you happen to call it. Pub Catello CA consumer latest no arch RPM. It's installing it. Okay, now that that's done, we can run the subscription manager command. I'm going to take what I copied earlier. So you see subscription manager register, that's normal. You're telling it the org because you can have more than one organization in your satellite. So this one is the root user. The activation key. Now you don't have to have this. If you just registered it flat out, it's going to ask you which org to put it on, and then it won't do anything. You'll have to go in there and enable your repositories and stuff like this. But everything you set up in the activation key is going to be set up automatically once you do this. So you won't have to do anything. You can just immediately start patching at that point. So let's run this. And what we'll do is we'll start a yum update. So it says the system has been registered. And we'll do a yum update. And you could see Ansible 2.9, the 7 server RPMs, and the satellite tool 6.10. And since this is a fresh install of a rhel 7.9 server, it more than likely is going to need some kind of patching. Alright, so it needs total 289 megabytes of patches. It's going to install one package and update 153. So let's get that going. While this is updating, we're going to move over back to satellite and look and see what it shows on the GUI interface there. So let's switch over to that. Alright, under hosts, this is all hosts. So you can see the rhel 7 servers right here. And it needs security errata. Subscription is good. It shows the IP address, the MAC address, the domain it's in, the location it's in, the organization it's in. If we go to content host, this will show you everything that the server needs. So it shows that it needs 463 packages, 2 enhancements, 101 bug updates, and 67 security. It's patching those right now. Once it's finished patching and rebooting, all these will show as 0. If you go into here, you can actually see the installed packages. You can see which ones are applicable. You can add, this is provisioning details, which we didn't provision it, so at least not through satellite. It shows you when it was registered by an activation key, and which activation key, when the last time it checked in, its host name, its IP address, and IPv6 address, which life cycle it's in, the OS architecture, number of CPUs, sockets, its RAM, says it's a virtual host, a virtual guest. So while we continue to let that one patch, we can look at some of the other stuff. This is where you can set up just some basically host collections. If you just want to go like Red Hat dev servers and you hit save, you can then come in here and add your server to it. Add selected. and it's there. And if we go back now to, say, our activation key, you can add this in there. So when they automatically, if anybody registers again with this key, it will automatically put them in this particular host collection. It just makes organizing things better. So if you were, say, if we go into content host and you have thousands of servers, you can go host collection equals Red Hat dev servers, and then you hit search, and it would show you just the servers that are there. So anyway, so before we wrap up, let's go into the administration section so we can see some of the things you can do. You can add new locations, so you can coordinate your hosts by location if your organization goes across different locations. You can also go under organization and add new organizations. So if you want to break things up that way, different departments, you can, whatever it works best. You can have authentication sources. So if you just want to go internal, that's easy. You don't have to do anything, but you can also set up external authentication sources and LDAP sources so that you can log on through satellite using LDAP, for instance. You can set up users. So you don't want to just have your admin user. You can create new users so people can just log on for reporting purposes or logging on just to be able to do patching. And then let's see, then we have like settings. That's an important thing to look at when you're setting it up, because you can come through here and just make some fine tuning. Like for instance, your Red Hat Cloud, you can go in here and get the token for it on access.redhat.com and place that in here so that you can use Red Hat Insights. Wanted to point out one more thing before we close this out. If you go into content hosts, you can use, say, yum update on the server itself, but you also have the option of going into here, and we won't go through it because it's already patching. Actually, you have to do it through all hosts on this one. Sometimes I forget that. So you go into here, select actions, and you can schedule a remote job. And from here, you can run SSH commands. So you could use yum update -y, and you could select all your different hosts, and you can just hit that submit. There's other methods of doing that. You can use Ansible playbooks. And I'm going to show on another video on how to set up different Ansible playbooks for patching and that kind of stuff, so we can go over that. Let's just go back real quick into content host and see if there's another method for applying patches. Yes, managing packages. But right now you could select, you can do packages and do all packages, update all packages. You can do that, or you can just say you want a package, like if you wanted any package, screen, I don't know, I mean, you can update it, remove it, install it, and you can do it directly from here from the GUI. You don't have to. You can also, like I said, do it the same thing. Satellite is able to push or pull packages. So that, I think, will conclude our lesson for today. That shows you how to basically get the core setup of Satellite going. It gets you so that you have your manifest for subscriptions and your entitlements. It shows you how to get your content view. You sync your initial repositories. You set up your activation key. You register a server, and then you do its initial patch. This will get you up and running so you can do more fine-tuning and adding more to it. But the basics of what I just showed will carry over to expanding this out to any size environment you might have. So in our next ones, we will go over more detailed information. I will show some things that you can do by adding Ansible playbooks to Satellite, where you can actually put those so that you can run patching jobs through Ansible playbooks directly on Red Hat Satellite. So until then, thank you once again for watching this video, and look forward to showing you the next things that Satellite is capable of doing. So until then, have a great day, everybody.